welcome to Treehouse Bakery. In this video, I'm celebrating my first business birthday by baking a simple and classic cake with vegan meringue frosting. I'm Stephanie, that's me down the front. Let's get started. Prep 2 8-inch cake tins by brushing with a little oil and placing a piece of reusable greaseproof in the bottom. In a large bowl, measure 370 grams of self-raising flour, 1 teaspoon each of salt, bicarbonate of soda and baking powder, and 260 grams of caster sugar. Give that a good stir to make sure it's all evenly distributed. To 230 milliliters of oat milk, add 30 ml of vanilla essence, and 180 grams of melted margarine. Give that a good whisk. Pour the wet ingredients into the dry all at once. Stir slowly at first to fold the dry into the wet. Then stir more quickly to make sure there are no large lumps. Add 1 tablespoon of cider vinegar and mix it in well. You'll end up with a fairly runny cake mix. Pour into the tins you prepped earlier, dividing the mix evenly between the two. Bake at 170 Celsius for 25 to 30 minutes until golden brown on top. In the bowl of a stand mixer, measure 100 grams of aquafaba and 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. Whisk on high speed until it forms firm peaks. This will take about 10 minutes. Meanwhile, in a small saucepan, measure 250 grams caster sugar, 60 ml of water. Bring to the boil and allow it to bubble until it reaches a temperature of 115 degrees Celsius. Do not take your eyes off the pan and never stir it either. With the mixer on low speed, slowly and carefully pour the sugar into the aquafaba. Increase the speed to high and continue whisking until the side of the bowl no longer feels hot. If you'd like to add food colouring, now is the time. I'm going for light pink. Continue whisking till the bowl is cool to the touch. Optionally, add 1 teaspoon of freeze-dried raspberries. Sift in 250 grams of icing sugar. Mix on slow speed for another minute. Remove the sponges from their tins by running a palette knife around the edge and firmly tapping the bottom. Place upside down on a 10-inch cake board. If the sponge isn't flat, like mine, trim the dome top by carefully sawing with a bread knife as you turn the cake on a turntable. Once the sponge is sitting evenly, remove the greaseproof and generously heap raspberry jam on top. I prefer seedless jam for cakes, but it's up to you. Spread the jam around in an even layer with the back of a spoon. Take the second sponge from the tin, remove the greaseproof and place on top. No need to trim this dome unless it's really lopsided. Spoon a good heap of frosting on top of the cake. I can tell already that this frosting is a bit too runny, but it's still workable. Aquafaba meringue is hard and I'm still perfecting it. Use a palette knife to spread the frosting in a thin layer. Starting at the top in the center, push the frosting outwards and down the sides until the cake is covered in a thin layer of frosting. This is the crumb coat. Generously spoon the remaining frosting on top and repeat the process of covering the cake, adding texture as you wish. Optionally, toast the meringue using a pastry torch. Even without toasting, this frosting will set up with a crisp outer skin. Toasting this cake reminds me of a cake I used to make when I worked at a Hummingbird bakery called a Brooklyn Blackout. I made it so many times and never wanted to see meringue again. It was a pretty good cake, but I'm a fan of this pink colour. Sprinkle with rainbow confetti, some of which will bounce off, but don't worry about that. I've made a simple cake topper here that I'm going to stick into the centre of this cake. Put your cake onto an attractive cake stand or a plate and voila! It's time to party! This is a super simple cake that I think works nicely as part of a dessert spread for a party. I think there is something charming about a simple classic cake. I'm incredibly happy and proud to be celebrating Treehouse Bakery's first birthday. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who has supported me this past year. My absolutely charming and wonderful customers, the infinitely talented business and service providers I've worked with, and of course all the friends and family whose support has kept me going. Here's to bigger and better things in the year to come. Please like, comment and share this video. Also subscribe to this channel if you haven't done already.